Scrappy Peeps, Susanna here today for the Scrap Room to share with you a layout I created using one of the two collections in the Doubleshot. And I also used this Freaky Fast Friday. It's a challenge that they have over at the Scrap Room. So I combined the two to create this particular layout here. So I pre-cut the dimensions of the formulas out of cardstock and arranged my layout that way. That way I didn't run the risk of cutting a paper that I didn't want, although I did do that once, and I was much more assured to get a layout that was going to work for me. So I am going to now cut out of the pattern papers, the papers that I chose. I tried you can go back to that beginning opening of the video and see that I tried to use similar colors as the colors that I was going to use for the pattern papers from the kit. And so that particular piece, you'll see I put the photo on it and I'm like, oh, wrong one. It was the right size, but it was that blue paper. I had wanted something different, and I had actually arranged the pattern papers in such a way that that wasn't going to work. And you know what? I had plenty of paper, so I really wanted the layout to work for me, and so I wasn't so concerned about wasting paper per se, because I know I will be able to use all of these scraps for other things. They'll go into my scrap bin if I don't create another layout, and it will definitely get used. So I cut it out what I wanted from that. Then I'm going to continue to move through the pattern papers as I had outlined in my, what I'm going to call my dummy run. This strip is going to be the 12 by ½ inch strip, which is going to go up the top there, and I knew I wanted to use that from the selvage, and so I'm just going to take off that other ½ inch there and just set that aside. I also knew for the 12 by, no, that was the 12 1/4, I'm sorry, and then the 12 by ½ inch, I knew I wanted to use the washi, which might be slightly more than ½ an inch, but that was okay. It was still going to be the placeholder for that. And that's the beauty of this Freaky Fast Friday challenge, is you don't have to use it to the T, really, just as a sketch doesn't have to be to the T. You can take your interpretive license and do what you would like with it. So those are all the layers that are going to be the focal point of the layout in the center there. Then you're going to have the headers up the top that are going to be support. And then I am going to do a mixed media technique similar to something that I did for Simple Stories a couple of months ago. Only now I have the actual stamps and so I don't have to go quite as whimsical as I did for Simple Stories. That Simple Stories collection actually really called for more whimsy. This is a bit more geometric when you look at that pattern paper that's behind the photo, and so that's why I felt that sort of the, I'm going to call it the rigidness of the solid stamps worked a whole lot better. So I used the pattern paper, not pattern paper, sorry, cardstock that comes with the kit as the inch long strip at the top there. So there's the stamp set. It's actually from a Tuesday morning haul that I'm going to use as the half black and white design, and then I'm going to use a solid stamp set for the other half of the circle that will be the solid design. So that strip there, I can't remember the specifics of it, but it looks like the 3 inch, the 8 1/4 by 3 inch. I decided to banner it. I just like the way that the banner kind of softens some of those geometrics in what ended up being a much softer photo. So a little bit about this photo. A couple of weeks ago, last week, I lose track of time as we get into these new back to school routines. My kids and I went down to Biltmore, which is a 6-hour drive, and Chihuly, he's a glass blower with huge glass installations, is at the Biltmore, and we had bought tickets to be able to see Chihuly in the evening, and I just love the setting sun behind that huge glass orb sculpture with the kids looking like they're holding it up. And I actually edited the photo to mute it a little bit so that it just has that softer glow. The photo has that glow feeling. And while these papers are a little bit brighter than that glow, they really enhance the glow in the photo, and I thought it worked out really well. So that is going to be all of the photo layers. I flipped that pink paper because I wanted you to be able to see the flowers poking out of the bottom, whereas the way that I had it when it was reversed, you saw more pink than you saw flowers, and so it was more consistent around the edges of the photo there. Don't ask me why I flip it. I'm really not sure. I think maybe I thought that I would move the banner up to the top instead of down the bottom. So I put adhesive there. And I'm going to take that adhesive off because I knew that I had that tag there and that that says notes, and I wanted to be able to slide it in and out and make a little pocket for it. I have done this, I do this frequently in that I will use double-sided tape to make a little pocket for the tags elements to slide in and out. So I'm just going to put a 3-inch edge of double-sided tape around, and that will be what literally contains that element, in this case the notes craft card, into a little pocket there. It allows you to put some hidden journaling, and again, I've mentioned this on multiple occasions in the past. I don't really hide my journaling because I don't want people to read it so much as I hide it because I don't want it to interfere with the design element of the page. And once I did the stamping technique on this page, I knew there really wasn't going to be much space to journal. I do actually end up journaling under that teal thing that says, I think it says unforgettable. So the bulk of my journaling is actually there, but I could put more information in that notes pocket there. It just ended up being that I didn't need it so much. So you see the solid stamp and then the clear Bo Bunny, I'm going to call it a speckled circle stamp. So these are some inks that I'm going to use. I tried to choose colors that were the colors that were in that striped paper. So I pulled an aqua or a teal, that salmony orange, and the purple. I will pull a yellow, but that yellow has a very sort of orangey tint to it. So I'm using just a scrap piece of paper to divide so that I'm shadow stamping really, so that I'm only stamping half of the circle. And then I will go in with my black stamp or my black ink pad and the speckled stamp and complete the circle using that other half of stamp. Now when you look at the pattern paper, some of them are 3/4 and 1/4 and 1/2, but it was just easier to do half and half for me, and so that's what I went with. I did clean the stamp off in between each stamping and each ink color. I just omitted that part because otherwise this video became incredibly long. So again, I will link you to the video where I did this in using a watercolor and a stencil brush. Actually, they aren't watercolors, they're kind of like watercolors. So I did a very similar technique for Simple Stories, and I'll link you to that up above. So these circles aren't perfect, but I'm really not bothered by it. You get the idea of what it is that I wanted to do, and I knew I was going to cover parts of it up, and so it didn't really matter that they were not perfect. The type A highlighted, bolded, underlined part of me just let that go. So originally my intent had been to use this gold foiled craft element on the page, but there really isn't much gold and there isn't much craft anywhere else on the page, and so I wasn't able to use repetition to make that fit. So that is why I got rid of that. I did try using some of the other elements that come in the kit, in the double shot kit, but none of them really worked the way that I had designed the layout. I do end up off camera putting this, it looks like a party hat with something coming out of the top of it. It's kind of this indescript thing, and I do end up putting that at the bottom right of the photo, and you'll see that in the close-ups. It just needed a little something down there because you have that open space in the photo, and that's why I chose to put that element there. So I also did go and fussy cut, and I'm going to fast forward through this almost to the point of making you sick. It's so fast, I'm sorry. But I fussy cut that camera because I wanted something else I felt like I didn't have a whole lot of embellishment on the page, and it just needed a little something else, something kind of texture really, and I felt that the camera added that by putting that camera in that light spot up there. By having that dark, I created the contrast. I didn't feel like fussy cutting each of these flowers, so I just went and used a small circle punch because those other elements are circles. I felt that that worked, and I'm just going to punch a few of these flowers out of the selvage strip of the paper there. Now, the layout needs a title, and I don't have any letters that come with this particular collection, so I went to my stash and I pulled out some gold thickers. While I didn't end up using other gold elements, this thicker collection does have hearts in it, so I'm going to pull out 2 other gold hearts, which enables me to create that visual triangle of gold throughout the page to tie everything together there. So that, my friends, is how I interpreted this month's Freaky Fast Friday challenge using my September Doubleshot kit from the Scraproom. You can subscribe to the kits, or you can just order one-offs as you see them as they see fit. So I'll link in the box below all of the information for that. I hope you are inspired to play along with the Freaky Fast Friday challenge. So I try saying that really fast 5 times. Enjoy the close-ups. I hope you're doing well. Thanks for stopping in today. Take care.